Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so we all know the morning routine, right? Staring at our phones, sipping coffee, hunting for those 5 elusive green squares. But today, I'm incredibly excited to figure out how we take that famous digital habit and bring it into the real world, right onto the tabletop. Today, we're learning exactly how to play the Wordle board game.
Okay, let's dive into this. How exactly do you turn a solo puzzle obsession, where it's literally just you against a computer algorithm, into a highly social party game? It's a fascinating shift, taking something that's inherently a solitary, quiet experience and turning it into a competitive table game with your friends. And honestly, it turns out the physical game pulls it off brilliantly with some incredibly clever mechanics.
Here is our roadmap for this explainer. 1. Setting up the game. 2. The host's secret word. 3. Making and marking guesses. 4. Scoring and winning. And 5. Alternate game modes.
Section 1. Setting up the game. The setup is actually delightfully simple. Everyone gets a personal board, a dry erase marker, and a privacy shield. And let me tell you, that shield is absolutely crucial. This entire game relies on secrecy, so you've got to guard your board and your brilliant guesses from your friends like it's a matter of national security.
Once you've got your gear, you just write everyone's name on the main scoring table and pick one player to be your very first host. But here's the twist. Your overall objective is to rack up the fewest points. It's totally counterintuitive if you're used to traditional high scoreboard games. Much like golf, you want the lowest score possible before handing over those host duties to the next person.
Section 2. The host's secret word. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the incredibly strict boundaries placed on the host. You secretly write any 5-letter dictionary word on your board and flip it over, but check out that not allowed column. No proper nouns, no abbreviations, no foreign words or acronyms. You also can't use freestanding prefixes, hyphenated words, contractions, or plurals. It heavily restricts the host to make absolutely sure they can't torture the whole table with some impossible word.
Let's directly compare those rules really quick. As we just saw, the host absolutely cannot use plural words. However, the guessers, they are completely allowed to use plurals as they fish around for correct letters. Seriously, knowing this distinction right now is going to save you from a very common, very loud tabletop argument later on.
Section 3. Making and marking guesses.
So, once players secretly write down a guess, the host evaluates it using physical chips. First up is the green chip. This goes on a letter that is in the host's word and is in the exact correct location. This is your absolute best-case scenario. Placing these little physical chips perfectly recreates that massive dopamine hit of getting those famous green squares on your phone.
Next up is the yellow chip. This little guy means a letter is indeed in the host's word, but it's sitting in the wrong location. You've got the right ingredient, just in the wrong spot. And, crucially, if a letter is left completely blank by the host, meaning no chip at all, that letter simply does not exist in the secret word.
Here is the exact flow of a turn. Step 1. Guessers secretly write a word on their board. Step 2. The host checks everyone's board and places the green and yellow chips. Step 3. And here is the really fun twist. The host announces the chip quantities out loud to the whole table, but never the specific letters. So you might hear, Sarah got 2 yellows and 1 green. Armed with that knowledge, you move to step 4 and guess again. Hearing your opponent succeeding while you're stuck definitely adds incredible tension to the round.
But what if someone panics and guesses a word that doesn't actually exist? Well, that's where the challenge rule comes in. Hosts essentially police the board. They can challenge invalid guesses, and if a word is fake, it's erased and the guesser has to try again. Oh, and a quick pro tip while you're guessing. Make sure to use your marker to cross off the alphabet letters at the bottom of your board as they get eliminated. Tracking your available letters is a total lifesaver.
Of course, we're all human, right? What happens if the host messes up and places the wrong chip? So the crucial point is how the game handles this cleanly. You literally just go back to the row where the mistake occurred, fix the chips, erase all the guesses below that row, and the guesser continues from there. It's a brilliant, simple way to fix human error without ruining the entire round for everyone.
Section 4. Scoring and winging.
When you finally crack the code and guess the secret word, the host will announce to the table that you solved it. However, the host does not reveal the word. Strict secrecy is required here because your friends are probably still sweating over their own boards. And keep in mind, just like the app, you only have a maximum of 6 tries. If you hit 6 and still don't have it, your round is officially over. Let's break down the math so you know exactly how to mark your scorecards. If you guess the word, you get 1 point for every guess you made.
So solving it in 4 tries equals 4 points. Makes sense, right? But if you fail to guess the word entirely after your 6 tries, boom, you get hit with a massive 7 points. You can easily see why failing is so heavily penalized, because remember, the overall winner is the person with the lowest score.
Once everyone finishes the word, mark down your scores. Then, the host roll simply moves clockwise to the next person. You keep repeating this loop. The entire game officially ends once every single player has had the chance to be the host exactly once. At that point, tally everything up, and the player with the lowest score wins the night.
Section 5. Alternate game modes.
First up is the time limit variant. If your friends are prone to analysis paralysis and take way too long staring at their boards, you can play with a strict timer for each guess. If the sand runs out before a player finishes writing their word, they have to cross off that entire row as a penalty and move on to their next try. It injects a hilarious amount of panic into what is normally a pretty quiet game.
Then we have fast mode, and this brilliantly illustrates how a small rule tweak changes the entire vibe of a game. In standard mode, the fewest points win. But in fast mode, players are simultaneously racing each other. The absolute first player to solve the word earns exactly 1 point, and everyone else immediately earns 0. In this frantic sprint, the player with the most points at the end of the night wins. It completely flips the scoring system and turns the whole thing into a chaotic race.
So, I leave you with this to consider. Which mode will dominate your tabletop? Will your friend group prefer the careful, quiet deduction of standard mode, or the frantic, chaotic race of fast mode? Taking this digital puzzle into the physical world opens up incredible new ways to play. Grab your dry erase markers, set up those privacy shields, and find out for yourself. Thanks for joining me on this